but there's this weird sort of with the righteousness of like, but really, like, I do all of these things.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can't even see that you don't do these things, and I know if you saw them, you would want to do them.
Yeah.
Like, it all makes sense, you know, it's
Yeah.
very reasonable,
Yeah,
which I get.
yeah. So if you look at the key words that are there, there's the righteous and then the should. You live a life of you being right and people should be. Or really just a life of should.
Yeah, for me and everybody.
Like, I'm a should. I'm shooting on everybody.
You shouldn't shit on yourself.
Yeah. You're just a should. You're a walking should. Like, you probably should be a particular way, your life should be a particular way, your husband should be a particular way. You are living a life of should, and that's what's shaping him.
And I've seen that for a long time.
I don't know if you have that.
I'm kind of describe myself as like Jekyll and Hyde, because I can be amazing certain days of like, I get that the shoulds just make things ugly and messy, and I can do a day without them.
But if you really got that for yourself, like not as, some insight or here's a characteristic that I have, but if you really got that for yourself, like it's yours, you wouldn't do that anymore.
That's exciting.
Okay, you would. One of my winning formulas is being charming or friendly. And it is awesome when you're dating. Or when you want to get something done. It's great. And then there comes a point where when you catch it enough, it becomes very disgusting. And it becomes disgusting for my wife. Because it's inauthentic, it's just gross. It's like, okay, you're doing your thing again. Stop it, just be real with me. And I can catch that as being gross now. Not bad, not any of that, it just, I know what it leaves for people who know me. People who interact with me a lot. If I'm ordering food from a server at a restaurant, great. I could charm away your whatever winning formula I want to use. But there becomes like a grossness, like you'll get sick of this way of being. You get what I'm saying?
Kind of, but the should, I get how that's ugly and gross, and being charming and friendly, it's hard to see it that way.
Totally. Do you have a way of being that your husband knows is just, that's not you? Or like if you want to ask for something and you know you've got a particular way you ask for it.
Yeah, it's my whole family, and my husband knows is that I don't like to hear no. So they say I sugarcoat it, or I always try and get them, instead of, the possibility of just asking point blank and accepting yes or no.
So that's what I mean, things that you can start catching, like,
Okay, I can see that
not,
one.
nothing wrong with it, but that's what I'm pointing to with the should. You could totally live a life of should. You can walk around and be like, this should be this way, that chair should be like this, that backpack should be there.
Oh, I hate it. I
This
don't want to
should,
live like that.
should. But when you can start to catch it as, okay, this is just a possible way of being I have.
Okay.
Then you can start to get responsible for it. And maybe if you did walk into a room, like if you walked into the room before the seminar, you could walk around and should all over this whole place, and that would be pretty good. Like, guys, this make a difference, do this, do that, do that. I don't like when the writing's like this. I actually like this a lot, so I hope you don't say anything about it, but, it's like, you probably do have something. But you could own this as yours.
Okay.
But when you're there with your husband and you're just about to shit all over him, you can catch it. Like, I'm making my husband wrong because he's sitting on the couch on his phone. Okay. Really, what's happening here? Let me just catch that. I'm about to make it wrong, but what's going on? Husband looking at phone, sitting on couch. Is there anything wrong with that?
Jenny walking down the stairs, noticing, feeling guilty or stressed or worried about the situation for the boys,
Yeah,
seeing husband on phone,
yeah.
period.
It's Jenny
And then what
walking
next?
down the stairs with some feelings, some thoughts. That's all that's going on. So there's a human being walking downstairs, human being sitting on couch looking at phone.
And then what next?
Yeah.
Two human beings, two adult human beings, two children human beings? Now
Yeah.
what do we do?
Yeah.
Not.
And this is where, when we say that as a graduate, you have the existential choice between living a life of survival and a life of aliveness. That is that choice. That's what we talk about. That's what we point to. All this is for you is to have a shot of living a life of aliveness.
Instead of dying in survival.
Yeah. And you can totally live the survival life. You could totally in that moment be survival.
That's been most of my life.
Yeah. I'm going to shit all over everybody for the next hour.
Because it's going to protect us and keep us safe, but it's not.
Sure. You know, and,
It's good.
you know, and it's, but it gets to be yours. Not like you have to be any other way. You are free to be, to just go shoot down the stairs, shoot at your husband, shoot at the kids, shoot at the whole environment, but have it be yours. Like it's yours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your life, you have a say.
I don't even own it, it just happens, and then it's
Yeah.
like, the thing that I'm running from, so it just keeps happening
Yeah.
over and over again instead of owning it, going, yep,
Yeah.
I did that today.
Yeah, I did that, so what? And now that I'm a human being and live an unreasonable life and I want to have an extraordinary life, maybe there's actions to take. Maybe I need to clean it up here. Or maybe I need to start catching myself.
That's it.
Even stop walking down the stairs like, oh, I'm about to unleash on him. Okay. What can I do different? What different life can I live right here?
In this moment.
Yeah. You get to have to say. I don't even know what that possibility would be or what there is to do. It might just be I'm going to walk right back upstairs.
I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
part of my fears in that moment when I've seen those moments, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, what next?
Yeah,
And I panic and I freeze.
yeah. But there's all sorts of things. Now you can walk down the stairs and say, husband, I was about to unleash on you. I don't know what to do any different right now because I'm really mad, but I don't want to unleash on you.
Yeah. Just say what is.
Yeah, all right. Share with them. Notice I'm a shitter. I live a life of should.
And you say, shit.
Well, now I know it and now I can own it. It's mine.
Yeah.
It's not some default thing that just suddenly descends upon me that, I'm ran by. No, I own it now. That shitting, that's mine.
So I grabbed it once
Uh-huh.
with my sister, because like I said, it's not just my husband.
Yep.
She was talking to the rest of our family. She had been to my aunt's house. She hadn't been to her house in years, and was describing about how much it was like a hoarder's house, and it wasn't that it wasn't clean, it was just, and she just described in detail. And I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I wanted to tell her, you shouldn't say that, and I'm like, that's not my place to say, so I was aware,
Yeah.
and I didn't act, and I don't know if I'm gonna have a conversation with her or not. I think kind of not, but I'm just learning to live in this new world of, okay, well, that was really uncomfortable, and what do I or don't I wanna say?
Well, the fact that there's some weight to what you just shared or that it came up for you, probably a good indication that there's something to say.
But in an owning authentic integrity, not a, you're doing this thing.
You said that thing the other day, and I just shut down. Felt defensive. But I just want to let you know.
And I can stop there. I don't have to explain or give, I normally go on like,
Yeah.
right,
You said what you said, and triggered.
That's definitely better than saying something, and it's definitely better than saying nothing.
Or pretending that nothing happened at all.
Right.
You know, am I gonna say something? I don't need to say anything, because it's in the past. It's in the past. Although it's right here for you.
Yeah, and it affects my relationship with her.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel afraid to have her at my house, and what is she saying about me?
Yeah. We're gonna start to see there's there's other things we're gonna get to the other side of, but one of the things you can start to look at are what are the symptoms of when I'm really on it or caught by something. And you'll notice that if you could then start to own it and have a sense of humor about it, there's an opening there. Yeah. Great, thank you, Jenny. All right, who else? Let's go back to the question. So what do you see possible for you regarding creating an unreasonable condition of integrity for the seminar and or for your life? So who else would like to share? Yeah, Kira.
I think Greg wanted to share.
No, she actually.
Oh, you're right. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You actually covered everything that I wanted to talk about, basically catching.
Can you just share real quick what you got? We want to hear it.
Should is a four-letter word. You basically, you basically covered what I needed to be reminded of the fact that people push my hot button and I respond rather than being present at the moment and realizing that and saying, well, wait a minute, let's see if we can explore a possibility about this.
And what's your hot button?
My son sitting around doing nothing on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was shaking my head like this the whole time.
He should not have heard that.
Yeah,
And he really shouldn't, should he?
right. By the way, it has not worked. Anything that I've tried in the past has not worked. So,
Yeah.
and I've even said to him, I said, sometimes it seems like I get after you, but anger is a mask for fear. What I'm really trying to tell you is that I'm fearful that if you continue in this life path, that you're not going to have the richest and best life you can have.
Yeah.
But then I have to say, instead of stopping there, I then have to give them some advice. And of course, it contains the word should,
Mm-hmm.
and I just kind of shut them down at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. And what if your son could just be the way he is and be the way he isn't? And do the things he does and does the things that he doesn't do. Do you have any shoulds on how I should have said that, Jay?
I was thinking that that's the real possibility.
My
I know
English
that's
there.
where the freedom is, but it's so scary to think that could happen.
Yeah.
But I know that it's liberating too.
There's a control aspect to should, even when I feel like I'm in the right about pointing something out to them.
Yeah.
In the Bible it says, don't criticize your children harshly.
Just gently. Just gently. But here's the powerful piece here, though, is you get to now create that and have a son who could be however he is, however he isn't, and really be in the presence of your son, because he has no room to be an act around you. He's on his phone. He's going to get some shoulds, how to live life, and some wisdom, some advice. He has no room to just be. He's interacting with dad, living a conceptual life of how son should be.
Mm-hmm. So do I say nothing or?
I don't know. But this is for you. You have to discover this. And if this is something that you can get present to, okay, if I'm looking at living an unreasonable life, I can see that with the actions I take during the week. Like, am I going to the gym? Did I show up to work on time? Or, do I quit my job? Is that unreasonable? And blah, 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 blah. But then what if you examined who you are started to true yourself up into who you're committed to being for people.
I'd like to be more supportive,
Be
more
supportive,
positive.
positive, and who else do you want to be for your son?
I'd like to be both a dad and a friend.
That would be distinct for him, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we do have an awfully good side to our relationship and an awful lot of fun together.
Yeah.
Just, I react pretty strongly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably have legit reasons for it too,
Yeah.
and totally valid reasons.
So what do I do?
Hold on there though. Because really, like, it's so present, his love and his care for his son. Like, he's your life.
Yeah,
Like, he really is, isn't he?
yes, he is.
And you want the best for him. Like, it's just so natural. Like, why, it'd be weird if you got up and said, I want my son to stop working so hard, and I just want him to sit on the couch and just play on his phone.
Yeah,
Like, we would, like, what is Greg talking about?
yeah.
So we all get it. Like, it's we just so get it. But if you look at the stand for your son, there just may be something to complete. You know, this would be reference number 19 on my share from earlier with my friend. But I had called him and said, hey, you've put me, I'm the middleman here. I don't want to be the middleman. And I can't go be with her and have something that I know she needs to know. And the whole time I really had there's nothing, no make wrong for him. Because for me, I have compassion for what he's in. Like, I've been there before. You know, and he's a human being, and I know, you know, I interact with graduates all the time, and I know, like, what it takes to clean something up, or to have a lie said, or to actually tell the truth that there was a lie said. But I was able to give him the space, not like back away, you know, but he had texted me and then he hadn't called me for about a whole day, and I knew, like, he's dealing with something. And I called him and I just told him, like, look, I get it, I know what you're dealing with. And I know that there's the risk of losing the love of your life. You know, and he was just able to, like, open up. You know, now there's been lots of conversations that have created that, but to look at what is the unreasonable life I can live with my son? What are the conversations that would be unreasonable? What have I not completed for him? You know, and enrolled him in.
I've gotten very authentic with him,
But
worked
there's-
hard with him, and he's there, and he says, okay, you know, you're right, I'm sorry. And then I'm fine there.
Yeah.
And the next day when it happens again, that's,
Yeah, so I think we're Mr. Boda's graduates is we think that, how many people think that it's just that one conversation and everything's gonna be good from there? How many people think you could relate to this? Like, well, I've had that conversation and nothing's altered.
repetition.
Yeah, well, no, I don't even know if it's repetition, but I wouldn't get so, you can see in your complaints, there's something conclusive, like there's a conclusive nature. Like, you draw a lot of conclusions. Like, you have a conclusion on how your son should be, a conclusion on how things should go. Even when I said, you know, that we've had multiple conversations, go, yeah, repetition is what's needed.
No, that's what's happened.
Yeah, okay. But the ongoing discovery, I don't know what the answer is, but an ongoing discovery of truing yourself up to being that dad, being that friend. And it may take multiple conversations. Or enrollment will be present, but then something else happens or fades out. You get that?
Oh, yes, I do.
But it's that unreasonable stand of, I'm out to alter the relationship with my son. I don't know how it's gonna go.
Okay.
But I'm not getting stopped by those reasons. I'm not getting stopped by the stuff that has stopped me in the past.
Mhm.
Like, it is my life's mission that my son and I have this extraordinary relationship.
I just have to keep the conversation positive,
Maybe. But again, that's conclusive.
supportive.
Maybe.
Attacking him isn't going to work.
Again, I don't know. But I wouldn't draw the conclusions. You get that? You can say yes or no.
I don't know if I do.
How many people you get what I mean with the conclusions there? Okay, just want to make sure that it's clear, I'm not missing the boat everywhere. But excellence is a concept. We live a conclusive life. Concepts are conclusive. Like, this is how it is, this is how I should be with my son, this is what's
Right.
going on, this is the life you should live, not be on the phone, bad, don't do that. Excellence is a possibility. The presence of who you are for him, dealing with what's so. What's so is son does X, Y, Z. Son has no job, or son has this kind of job. Son should have this kind of job. Blah, 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 blah. You know, even that's not in the what's so, but dealing with what's so. When I interact with my son, this is what happens. You get that?
Yes.
Dealing with what's so, and then what's the possibility, who you going to be for him. Taking the unreasonable actions until you know that possibility is fulfilled.
Okay.
You know, it's like whoever has created the possibility of being married, now you're married. That's a possibility fulfilled. Now what? I want to have an extraordinary relationship with my wife. Okay, well now there's a gap between what's so and what I know is possible. Or maybe with what's so and what I'm hearing is possible. And you don't have to have any conclusive nature about what's so and what's possible and where you're going for. I would stand in the discovery of what is this relationship I can create with him. Maybe it is being a dad and a friend. But what does that look like? What does that look like to my son? What if I inquire into what that looks like for my son?
That's the other side of the conversation.
Yeah, because you have conclusions on how you think it should look
Yeah.
and how this is supposed to go. Probably haven't been curious as to what's going on over there, really.
Yes. Yes.
So that's why I'm saying I don't know the actions, but that's a good place to start right there.
Fair enough. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Craig. All right, so take 2 minutes each and share from one of these two spaces, either what you've been discovering for yourself out of tonight, or if there's something that you saw out of taking on the assignments, you know, being unreasonable or something with your complaints. So whatever it is, take 2 minutes each. What did it say? Okay. Good. And then just be ready to hand those out, make sure people have pens. And then as they're filling it out, I'll say, okay, so who would like to, once I should take this, be ready to hand out those It's a special evening. We want to hand it out quickly, so just be ready to begin it. We're going to start creating like questions again. Just make sure you try
Switch, go ahead and switch.
Oh, but it'll be soon. So like, start creating it, and then did you talk with Matt? Text saying thank It was about
Okay, wrap it up. Start to wrap it up. And acknowledge your partner.
All right. So now we're going to have another conversation, and this is announcements. So, yay! Reggie, announcements, and then we're going to get to rackets, and you're going to see that it might be kind of a jerk. So we've got quite a night for you. I know. So, all right. So I want to talk about the special evening about the Landmark Forum. So I know some of you were at the last one that Aaron Snyder led, and then we've got another one coming up. What should that be? August 15th.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, oh, Mary Terry. Oh my God. I love her. He is awesome. Okay, so anyway, so each special evening has a theme, like I may have created at the last one, but the special evenings, again, they happen once a month all throughout the year. And it was created because graduates said, look, could I come be with the Landmark Forum leader? And we said, all right, and the enterprise kind of started looking at, all right, how can we do that? And then they created a night where, however often it happened, but it was a special night, because it wasn't that often, have the Landmark Forum leader come in, and all the graduates around the area could come be with the Landmark Forum leader. Give presents to the Landmark Forum and what I got. And then, next question naturally arose, which is, well, can we just bring guests? Sure, bring guests. So now the night has been created in service of what the graduates have wanted. And each special evening has a different theme. So this theme, and I created it a little bit before because I just so love this, but you start to look at the questions, one famous, who was Lewis Carroll? Is he a famous philosopher?
Writer, Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, Alice in Wonderland. Okay. Oh, well, that's an interesting. That makes a lot more sense. Here we go. Okay. roller coaster ride.
Just ask Al.
So, anyway, one of the things that Lewis Carroll says is the questions decide us. Now, given this work is, really Socratic in nature, and that there are no answers, we actually look at, just like we created, what are the questions that you ask yourself? Like I had shared, when, dating somebody, I look at other guys, why are you looking at him? What does he have that I don't have? How much better looking is he? Does she want him? She'd rather be with him. Okay. Do they like me? What's going on here? Is everybody talking about me? Why did the room get quiet? What do they think of me? What do my parents think of me? And then you actually look at what are the questions? And some of the other things that you can look at. You just say, do you like me? What does that look mean? Or what's wrong with me? Why did they do that? Did I get it right? How do I look better? How do I change my boyfriend? Will it? I like that. That's the one that you guys. Will it be okay? How did I eat that? Why did I eat that? That's really good. And then after Landmark Forum, you start asking different questions like we had said earlier. Like, am I really listening right now? Did I actually hear what my son said? What's possible? Am I being responsible? Or do I have a blind spot? Or who am I being now? Am I really being authentic right now? Where is integrity lacking? What is there to give up? What's my context right now? So the point is having a different set of questions gives a different life. Now, knowing that makes no difference, but given you are graduates, you are now dwelling in that, okay, I live a distinct life than I did before. There is a new context I operate in. And so that's a possibility of this special evening, that for you and your guests, this is one of the conversations that will be dwelling in that night. And giving your guests the opportunity to actually examine the questions that they ask themselves. And not even from a place of what's wrong, or here's something in a book that I read, and this is why you need to change who you are. No, let's actually engage in this inquiry. So, the Landmark Forum asks questions that no one else is asking. And this special evening is about the Landmark Forum is a conversation that no one else is having. So the opportunity of this month's special evening is for you and all the people in your life to engage in these kinds of questions, for the possibility that they make available. Now, my experience is when I have people there, that's a night that I know they never get over. I know that they never get over that. So your friends and family will see openings for themselves and have an access to possibilities, on this month's special evening. So August 15th, and Barry Terry has been leading the Landmark Forum for forever, but he is, he's one of the funniest Landmark Forum leaders, and he's just so, last time I was at the special evening with him, it was like, I was in the presence of, I wish every world leader was here right now. Like, I don't care who they are, how accomplished they are, or who we think they are. If every single person was there in the presence of the room that night, they would register. It was like that kind of night. You could say that about all Landmark Forum leaders, but this guy, you gotta come be with them. So anyway, did you hand those out? Sorry, we've got brochures for you. So, on these cards, you don't need to fill out the whole card entirely. Just write your name, and then just write your name, and then where it says number of tickets I'm taking, you either write 2, or if you want more tickets, raise your hand and we can hand out more tickets. So we've got the production. Oh, and who needs a pen? Raise your hand if you need a pen. A what? Yeah, point of clarification. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Open to the public. Yeah, I think at the last one, I was surprised. There was like 4 or 5 guests there that came because somebody in another state or somebody just said, yeah, go to this thing. So you don't need to have a graduate. And who wants more tickets? You know, if you want more tickets, raise your hand. If you want 3 more, put 3 fingers. 5 more, put 5. And then put the number of tickets on the bottom right. And also, there is an introduction for teens and young people. Yes. And they must be with a parent or a legal guardian. And you could be 7 years old to attend?
Yeah.
Okay. And, and then I'll email you in the next couple days. There's a link so you could do an e-bite to people if you want to have an e-bite. But everybody will get that. All right, any questions about the landmark forum, or especially anything about the landmark forum? Yeah, Allie?
So, is it like
Stand up.
this? Is it set up like this where we bring guests and the guests would be split off into another group, or would
No,
they stay present?
they're with you the whole time.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Unless they're under 18, then they go to a separate introduction.
Oh, right, because adults are boring.
Totally.
Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will Mary Terry be leading one of the forums either in August or September or October?
I don't think so.
He's not currently scheduled, no.
No.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. And when you're done with the cards, please hand them in. And then we've got another really special guest. Again, a familiar face special guest. I'll give you a minute to, when you're done with the cards, just name, number of tickets, hand it in. You don't need to put any other information. Yeah,
So those who do the August forum,
stand up, please.
those who do the August forum, are they also going to be part of the social?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is, huh? Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. Sarah, come on up here. Yes. All right, that's it. Let's welcome Sarah.
Hi.
Do a brief introduction for
Back.
whoever wasn't here last week.
Oh, you want to introduce me?
This is Sarah Fabian. The bubbly Sarah Fabian. For those of you who weren't here last week, introducing her, she's a staff member for Landmark, so her whole life exists for you,
Literally.
literally.
Uh-huh.
And the thing I appreciate about staff members is it is an ongoing, all-day phenomenon of interrupting where you're not being for everybody. You know, and life starts to become about you or getting stuck in your junk, and they deal with it all day long. And it's extraordinary.
Cool, that works. All right, thanks. So just so I know, who was not here last session? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, good. So, because I'm gonna share this session kind of almost sort of the same thing that I shared about last session. So I'm glad that some of you weren't here, and I got that most of you were. So last session I shared about 2 things. One was our Introduction Leaders program, and one was a communication program. So briefly about the communication program, if you still want to do it, we've got availability for this weekend's course. You should see somebody in the back of the room at the end of the night if you were interested in that. But what I really came for was the Introduction Leaders program. So last time I talked about the Rise and Shine, which was a singing orientation to the Introduction Leaders program. How many of you guys actually went there? Okay, good. That's right. Just 2 of you. Like, bummer, because some of you guys missed it. Aaron, do you want to share anything that you got out of being at the Rise and Shine? Well, sure. Come on up, man. Or go to the microphone, rather. And pause one moment, because so he's going to share about this killer experience. I can't reproduce this killer experience, but we do have 2 orientations coming up for you. One will be before your next session, so from 6 to 6:45. I'll be leading everything you need to know about the introduction to the program. There will be, well, maybe if you're really enrolling, I can sing a song or something, but I don't promise songs or dances for that orientation. And there's also going to be one at the beginning of our next classroom, which is this Friday, not this Friday, sorry, next Friday, August 10th, from 7 to 9. So I want Erin to share so that you might be enrolled and actually come in and check it out yourself. And we have other dates for you to find out about it, because this is a program we offer twice a year. And I know you just did the forum and you've got everything else going, but if this is something for you, I'd like you to find out sooner and not miss it till next time. Cool? All right, take it away.
All right. So, yeah, we'll run with the easy part first. So, the best part of the Rise and Shine is watching all of the coaches for the Introduction Leaders Program get up here and actually sing and dance and put on a full, it was like a 10-15 minute production.
Oh, yeah.
I was smiling the whole time. I mean, they're so funny. They're so good. You know, it's so bad and yet so good. I mean, it's just glorious. So you can tell they practiced for minutes.
It was like 5 hours, I think, total.
They're pretty solid.
With non-musical people.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It was pretty glorious. So that alone is worth the price of admission of $0. But on top of that, where I really was enrolled is seeing a room full of people who are actually in the ILP and seeing people that were so willing to stand for people that have gone through the program or who haven't gone through and aren't graduates yet. But it instilled the confidence in me that there are great people among us that are willing to step up and truly be the stand for people that they don't know yet or they don't know want to be able to work yet. So that alone, just seeing that room and the energy in the room, and people from Salt Lake City and people from down in Phoenix and people from here, I mean, people from all over the place were here for their last weekend, and it was awesome. It was completely empowering. It really sold me into the work and ultimately applying to the ILP. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Erin. So I know last session some of you took forms and said you were interested. I'm pretty sure we've called all of you. If we haven't heard from you, we'll call you back sometime this week. And if you didn't take a form last week and are interested or weren't here last week, I'm going to take a form, or you did take a form but you want the new dates, just raise your hand and we'll hand out the specific date information that you need. Anybody? All right, Jenny and Nancy and Tia will bring that to you. Anybody else? All right, we'll leave some of these on the back table. So if you want to like sneak out and not notice how interested, so the other people don't notice how interested you are in leading, can like fly under the radar a little bit and just show up, okay? So you two ladies, if you just fill that out, and you can either pass it in now or you can give it to your production team at the end of the night, just so that I have that if you're interested. All right, cool. That's it. Anything else you need from me?
No, great.
Any questions for me? All right, cool. Enjoy the rest of your seminar. Rackets.
Rackets.
I got in before rackets. I'm super
I
excited.
know. Sometimes Sarah will come in, and it might be later on in the seminar, where it's like we just went over something very significant. And so everyone's like grappling with something like, what? And then Sarah gets a walk in about, hey guys, I got an opportunity. And it's not a friendly setup. So, yeah.
All right. Awesome.
All right,
Thanks so much,
Let's
guys.
go, Sarah. All right, now for some good stuff. I mean, all the other stuff is great, but now let's really dig into some of your junk. All right. All right, have you guys noticed that it's kind of hard to get some complaints to disappear? Anybody struggling with some of that? Okay. And you might notice that you might have struggled that when you've actually looked at them, you go, okay, I'm trying to see where I'm inauthentic here, but it's not happening. Okay? And that might be coming up for you. So, we're going to begin with one of the fundamental distinctions of the Landmark Forum. And this is where this distinction, in my view, you know, I know I created something possible with committed assessment and what's possible for the planet. But this is, in my view, the most tangible distinction that we have, that if a human being, anywhere on the planet, any human being, like if just even if 2/3 of the planet had the distinction racket, there would be no war whatsoever. There would be no war. There wouldn't be the fighting like there is with the families. There would be no sex trafficking. Like, I'm crystal clear on what's possible for the planet if we all had this distinction. Now, given your graduates, this distinction is for you. But to live the possibility of a racket-free life and what's possible for humanity, oh my God. You know, it's one of the reasons why I lead seminars. Like, I didn't think something was possible for the planet. I didn't care if there was something possible for the planet. All I know is I want to make a lot of money so I can tell people around me to F off. Like, leave me alone, better than you, here we go. And then I did the Landmark Forum and saw something possible for humanity, and I was blown back. And we could say this distinction is really one of the fundamental distinctions of the Landmark Forum. It's one of the fundamental distinctions of our work. So we're going to go to work on that. Now consider that your persistent complaints are part of what you say is unwanted and yet persists. And your complaints are part of your racket. Now in the Landmark Forum, you began to know yourself as a racketeer. So, can you come up and flip the board? So we're going to review the structure of a racket. Now, this distinction is so powerful that we have this in almost every single one of the seminars. So, there's an invariant, never-changing structure to a racket. And a racket is defined as what you say is unwanted yet persists. So your complaints are almost certainly part of your racket. And then with each racket, you've got a payoff. And the payoffs are always, you get to be right, make someone or something wrong. We love that one. We love that one. Then you dominate or avoid domination. You get to justify yourself or invalidate others. You get a win, and someone or something loses. And the ultimate payoff is you get to avoid being responsible. Now, avoid being responsible for what? For everything. You don't have to be responsible for your life at this point. Now, with every racket, there's a cost. So it wasn't just good enough that we get to be right, dominate, or avoid domination. Now we get to avoid being responsible. Like, those things are actually great. But they come with a cost. And the cost of running rackets is rarely fully present for people. The cost of running rackets are always, running rackets cost you love and or affinity. Rackets cost you your vitality, and in the long run, your well-being. Has anybody noticed or even tried on that you can make yourself sick? Has anybody noticed that? See, that's something you could own as well. You could have ownership over that. Now, running rackets cost you your self-expression. And then another cost of running a racket is your satisfaction and, over time, your experience of being fulfilled. And the ultimate cost is aliveness. Now, your rackets are a pretense. They are completely inauthentic. What you say is unwanted and yet persists. If you actually look at that, what's anything that's unwanted and yet persists, and you just get present to something in your life, like, well, this happens and I really don't like that. When you say it's unwanted and it yet persists, that's a lie. You are lying. And rackets are a pretense and a lie because they are never actually about what you say is unwanted and yet persists. You run rackets because you get the payoff, and you are willing to pay that cost. Now, of course, rackets aren't bad. They just kill off aliveness. And you're not a bad person because you're a racketeer. The rackets are just counterproductive to living a life of excellence and possibility. Now take the case that any complaint you have been unable to make disappear as you did in the assignment is part of a racket. So I actually want to work with one of you on one of the complaints that you haven't been able to disappear. And we're going to work on that complaint using the distinction racket to see what becomes possible. So, who would like to work with me on a complaint? I love my rackets. I love it. Yeah, Dan. Yeah, microphone. And what's the complaint?
So the complaint is there's so much shit going on. That's always, at least in my view of reality.
Yeah. All right, good. So there's so much stuff going on. Now, if you look at a racket, what are the payoffs with having that complaint?
So I know for me, one of the big payoffs as I dove into this was people wouldn't view me as lazy, and I'm doing things because I'm doing the right things. I'm busy, so I must be doing something.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing something. So that's kind of, it's one I am holding on to.
Yeah.
And